Good morning, everyone. We are calling this special meeting to order at 9:09 a.m. Welcome to our meeting. And with that, we will begin with instructions for how the public can participate in this meeting.
Members of the public, the instructions to participate in today's meeting can be found on the published agenda. These instructions provide information on how to submit written comments and also how to participate via Zoom. Because this is a special meeting, public comment will be limited to identified agenda items only. Live interpretation of this entire meeting will be provided in Spanish. To access live interpretation services in Zoom via laptop or computer, please click the interpretation globe icon and select the Spanish language. If you're using a smartphone or tablet, please locate the three-dot menu, select interpretation, then select the Spanish language, and finally click done. At this time, I'll invite our interpreter, Victor Hernandez, to provide these instructions in Spanish.
Thank you so much, Kim. Good morning, President Corzo, honorable supervisors, both on site and virtually, Mr. Callaghy, Mr. Mates, Mr. Niblin, all county staff, members of the public, Victor Hernandez, Spanish interpreter. Buenos días, miembros del público. Las instrucciones para participar en lo que es la reunión de hoy se pueden encontrar en lo que es en el orden del día, que ya ha sido publicado. Las instrucciones dan información de cómo presentar comentarios tanto por escrito y también por Zoom. Ahora, por el hecho de que esta es una reunión especial, el comentario público será limitado simplemente al punto del orden del día. También les queremos dejar saber que se les va a brindar interpretación en directo simultáneamente de toda esta reunión en español, y para poder acceder a lo que son los servicios de interpretación en Zoom, ya sea con una computadora o una portátil, usted tendrá que hacer clic en lo que es un icono de un globo y seleccionar lo que es el idioma en español. Ahora, si está usted usando un teléfono inteligente, una tableta, busque lo que es el menú de 3 puntos, seleccione interpretación, luego seleccione el idioma español y por último haga clic en done o listo. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our clerk and our interpreter. We are now moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge. Thank you. We can now move on to roll call.
Supervisor Spear?
Here.
Supervisor Mueller?
Here.
Supervisor Gaucher?
Here.
Supervisor Canepa is absent. President Corzo?
Here.
Thank you.
Sorry. Go ahead. You can finish.
Okay. 4 supervisors present and 1 absent. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. We will now move on to public comment. This is the portion of the agenda set aside for members of the public to comment on matters that are on the agenda for today's meeting. And because this is a special meeting, public comment is limited to the identified regular and consent agenda items only. Members of the public who wish to address the board under public comment for agendized items will be given a total of 2 minutes to speak, and I will ask the clerk to start with public comments here in chambers.
All right. We did receive some written comments which were submitted and provided to the president and board members as well as the public website. So first, starting in chambers, we do have 3 speaker cards. We'll start with Susie Niedenhofer and then Karen Manick.
Thank you, President Corzo and honorable board members. My name is Susie Niederhofer. I am a council member for the city of Foster City. But I'm here to speak on my behalf, not as a council member. This is my second time in front of you expressing my concern of the county's intent to purchase the property at 1065 East Hillsdale Boulevard in Foster City. I fully understand and appreciate the county is trying to be fiscally responsible by purchasing property to house their programs rather than paying leases. I stand by my previous comments sent to the board and continue to believe that this is not the appropriate site. Again, I would like to think that the board and staff work in partnership with the cities of San Mateo County and look for property sites that are good fits for both the county and the city being impacted. But I don't believe this has happened. Many residents came to our council meeting last night, the majority expressing their concerns. This was the first time that the county presented information and the residents were able to provide input. Yet the board is here the next morning, not even 24 hours later, making a decision. I hope you all watched the council meeting last night to hear the concerns. The site is one of the most visible sites in the center of Foster City and an important economic development. This would be a loss that our 4 square mile city cannot get back. There are also traffic concerns as the property sits on the corner of already 2 congested streets. The county's programs would be better suited in Foster City's industrial warehouse zone north of 92. I want to state for the record that I do not believe this project has met SECRA requirements. In my many years of going through mandatory ethics training in the city of Foster City and the city of Mountain View, one theme repeats. Just because you can legally do something does not make it right. It seems to me that the county is only concerned about the cost and not the impact this will have on one of their cities. I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. We'll have Karen Manick and then Bill Wilco.
Hello, my name is Karen Mackey. I'm the chair of the San Mateo County Democratic Party. I live in North Fair Oaks. So I want to thank you for appointing Michelle to ICAC. She'll make a great commissioner. And I want to remind you that almost a year ago, ICAC presented to you and asked you to appoint a regular ongoing inspector general. Last week, the San Mateo County Democratic Party voted 21-1 to support that. Again, this is actually our second resolution in support of sheriff oversight. The Democratic Party endorsed Christina Lopez for sheriff. We were very hopeful for her being the sheriff. But things don't always work out as you plan. Sometimes you get a flat tire. Sometimes your brakes go out. We need to have processes in place so that when those things happen, we can respond to them effectively. We can't just have processes that work when there are no issues. So I'm just asking you, please, to appoint an inspector general. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, from Chambers, we'll have Bill Wilco.
Hi, good morning. My name is Bill Willis. I think I couldn't read my handwriting, but that's understandable. I'm not a politician, and it's very difficult to get up in front of here and speak, but I felt if I didn't say something that I wouldn't be true to myself. I own a business across the street, the dental office. We have over 25,000 patients, and I first found out about this a couple days ago because I've been getting emails from my patients concerned what do I think about it. So I went to the meeting last night and heard everyone's input, and my family, we've been in Foster City for 40 plus years. My mother-in-law is a realtor for 35, 40 years in the area. She sold many homes. She knows the area. You watch news, you read the news, and you see what's going on in the nation, and then you look at the local issues. And from an economic standpoint, it just doesn't make economic sense that you spend $29 million for that lot. It doesn't look like a good use for that property. If only 8% of patients are going to be, customers are going to be using that, why shouldn't it be closer to a railroad spur? Over the years, I've tried to hire people, and I go, you can take a bus, you can take the train from San Francisco, from San Jose, and they can't make it work. It takes an hour and a half to get there, and it doesn't make economic sense. And I heard this gentleman say that they were going to use Uber to help get people to come to this facility. You're going to use public funds to pay for Ubers where all these customers are going to have to come to that facility. I appreciate the services, and I think it's really, really important, but I think it's a tragedy to see government working this way.
Thank you. That's your time.
All right, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Zoom comments. Madam Clerk, please proceed.
Thank you. We have 4 hands raised. We'll start with Bruce, followed by Howard. Bruce, please unmute and begin.
Hello, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. How we all doing today? Good. Bear with me here. I come in the peace and love of Jesus Christ as one of the people sui juris who holds all political power. Agenda items 3 and 4, item 3, the recommendation to deny the claims. Fundamental principles in the U.S. Constitution's Fifth Amendment require due process before any deprivation of rights or property. California Constitution, Article 1, Section 7, similarly prohibits deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process from Charles A. Weisman, maxim of law. He who consents cannot receive an injury. Remedies must exist for wrongs, and the law wills that in every case where a man is wronged and undamaged, he shall always have a remedy. Arbitrary denial without full hearing violates these maxims and the people's retained rights. For item number 4, the commission appointment, the same principles apply. Consent makes the law, and derivative authority is strictly limited. Appointments must be made proper delegation from the people, not unilateral action. I respectfully urge denial, referral of both items for proper due process, consent-based procedures, and it's time to return to the fundamental principles and preserve our fundamental rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Howard, followed by Sabrina. Howard, please unmute and begin.
Good morning, council members. I'm here to talk about the property at 1065 East Hillsdale. I'm opposed to the county purchasing that particular property. You know, nobody seems to have any concern with the services that we're talking about. It's that specific location that seems to be problematic. The county's use sounds like it's fundamentally inconsistent with Foster City's general plan. What we heard last night was the county has been looking for 3 years for a property, and they have no clear plan of how it's actually going to be used. What functions are actually going to be there? They just threw out a whole bunch of things last night at the Foster City Council meeting that could possibly be used, at that property. So that's very concerning. There's been no traffic or safety study for what the county is going to do. I don't think the CEQA common sense exception applies here because there's no absolute certainty that it's not going to impact the environment. Foster City's going to lose money. And then it's very concerning that, most Foster City residents heard about this last night, and now there's a vote by the county on going forward with the purchase without much input from the city residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Sabrina, followed by Michelle Stevens. Sabrina, please unmute and begin.
Thank you. I come in the peace and love of Almighty God as one of the people, sui juris, who holds all political power. Item 1, the resolution declaring the intent to purchase real property on Hillsdale Boulevard for $25 million and authorizing the related agreements. California Constitution, Article 1, Section 3 guarantees the right of petition of grievances, while Article 13 limits taxation and requires careful stewardship of public funds. The core maxim of law, the power to tax is the power to destroy. Where in the Constitution do you have the grant of authority to buy private property with public funds for private corporations? Government acquisition of the property on this scale is absent clear and compelling justification tied directly to essential functions, expands only the county's footprint at the expense of individual property rights and fiscal restraint. Our constitutional system rests on limited government. The 10th Amendment reserves the states and the people all the powers not delegated to the federal government. The 5th Amendment protects against the the deprivation of property without due process of law. The First Amendment secures the right of petition for redress of grievances. Taxpayers have not been given the explicit consent to the substantial expenditure through the processes that demonstrate narrow necessity and minimal burden. I urge you to reject this resolution. For item 3, the recommendation to deny claims of fundamental principles of the U.S. Constitution, Fifth Amendment requires due process of law before any deprivation of rights or property. California Constitution, Article 1, Section 7 similarly prohibits deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Maxim of the law, he who consents cannot receive injury. Remedies must exist for wrongs, and the law wills that in every case where a man is wronged and undamaged, he shall always have a remedy. Arbitrary denial without full hearing violates the maxims and the people's rights, retained rights. For item 4, the commission appointment, the same principles apply. Consent makes the law, and derivative of authority is strictly limited.
Thank you. Michelle Stevens, followed by Ying. Michelle, please unmute and begin.
Hello, board. I come to you as a child of God with the love of Jesus Christ as one of the people's jury jurors who hold all political power. Item 4, the appointment of Michelle Vilches to the Independent Civilian Advisory Commission on the Sheriff's Office, an oversight body intended to be independent, loses credibility when appointments come solely from the board it monitors. This conflicts with the California Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, on the people's right to reform government and retained rights under the 9th and 10th Amendments. Maxims of law emphasize accountability and proper checks. True independence requires broader process and public confidence. I ask the board to reject this appointment. And board, you've been told, we've come to you all as children of God, and with the kindest words that we can. Be successful, please. Do what is constitutionally right for you to do. If you're successful, then all boards can follow your path. If you're not, then you're not setting a good example for the people that you are supposed to be serving. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michelle. Madam President, we have 2 more hands raised. Would you like me to make a final call at this time?
Yes, please, final call.
Members of the public, this is a final call to raise your hand to comment on the items on the agenda. So please raise your hand at this time. Final call has been made, and our final 3 speakers will be Ying Ji, Phoebe Venkat, and Ravi Jagtiani. Ying Ji, please unmute and begin.
Hi, I just want to say thanks for allowing us to chime in here. Again, this is regarding 1065 Hillsdale Boulevard. Similar to the sentiments echoed by previous Foster City residents, there's a lot of concern regarding the purchase of this property and use of this property. Historically, when we look at development across the county, there's proper due diligence and public hearings done. Bare minimums, traffic analysis, safety, environmental impacts to local businesses. What we received last night was equivocation by the county in terms of the impacts. Even if I look at the FAQs, there is wording around there's no noticeable or material impact, or there should be no impact to the traffic of Foster City, which is already under significant constraint given the limited exits and public transit options and routes within the city. I do feel like we can't make qualitative statements like that. We need to quantify everything and back it by data. Even at last night's meeting, I would say 4 or 5 commissioners, city council commissioners were not opposed to the offering of the services, to be clear, but the location. Foster City right now is a small city. It needs all the resources it has, and it can certainly benefit from better use and better management of the property versus what's being proposed. Right now, there's a lot of ambiguity around the purposes of the property. There was even mention of potentially of deviating from the intended use through installation of a warehouse, or as termed, an auxiliary building by the county representative last night. So I'll reframe this. I know I'm running out of time here as more of a question. What can the Foster City public do, given that there are grave concerns around this project, to effectively pause and have the proper due diligence, public hearing, and commentary necessary to ensure that a strong contingent and constituent of the county itself has its voices heard? Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ying. Phoebe, please unmute and begin.
Hi, good morning, Board President, county staff, and Honorable Board of Supervisors. My name is Phoebe Venkat. I'm on the Foster City Council, but I'm speaking today as myself. I understand that there has been all different kinds of feedback shared from certain members of our community, but I also want to relay the fact that there are also people who are supporting this project. What I'm asking for respectfully today is if there's an opportunity. I know that this item was already delayed and moved to today's meeting from last month, but given that we've had a presentation from the county last night, I would love to see another way that we can engage. The reason why I'm asking for that is not only so that more of the public could be informed, but I would also like to see, we actually have a little bit of work to clean up, because unfortunately there was imagery around the project that was shared that was not confirmed and not created by either the county or Foster City staff. And that image actually led to a lot of people being concerned about the project. So I just want to make sure that we're all equipped and on the same page in terms of the information. So I'm here to just humbly ask if there's a way to please move this item to a future date so that we can work on a couple of more engagement listening sessions and sharing sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker from Zoom, Ravi Jagtiani, please unmute and begin.
Thank you, supervisors, for giving me some time. I am here on my own behalf and as a resident of Foster City and not as a planning commissioner. The least we as voters should expect from our elected officials is transparency. Unfortunately, that is exactly what has been missing throughout this process. When a resident wants to build a small home addition, or even when a developer proposes a major project like this one, they're required to provide detailed plans, answer questions, and participate in a transparent public review process. Yet for a county acquisition that could have significant impact on the city and the community, the public was provided only a brief presentation with very little meaningful information. And that was made less than 15 hours before today's vote. That is not transparency. That is not meaningful public engagement. The county has reportedly been working on this acquisition for months. During this time, there were countless opportunities to engage with Foster City residents, the Planning Commission, the City Council, and other stakeholders. Instead, the Planning Commission received no substantial presentation. The county sent legal counsel rather than representatives prepared to explain the project, answer questions, or discuss the impacts. Even more concerning, no county supervisors attended either the Planning Commission or the City Council meetings to hear directly from the community affected by this decision. Public trust is built through openness, dialogue, and accountability, not by asking the public to react to incomplete information hours before a vote on a matter of significant public interest. This issue is bigger than this single acquisition. It is about whether the public can have confidence that a major decision affecting our communities will be made through a transparent and collaborative process. I respectfully ask that you postpone this vote until the county has provided complete information, fully engaged with the Foster City community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. And Madam Clerk, I'll turn it back to you.
Madam President, we did receive another speaker card from Chambers.
Let's take that.
Okay. Diana, ready?
Good morning, President Corzo, Vice President Mueller, and supervisors. I'm Diana Reddy, and I want to thank you for bringing forth the name Michelle Vilches for the ICAP and urge you to approve her. She's going to be a wonderful addition. And congratulate ICAP and thank them for encouraging the appointment of an inspector general to the county to oversee the sheriff's office. I need to report that I personally, all of my interactions with sheriff's staff has been positive and professional. And yet members of our community are not having that experience. And so I would really encourage you. I'm a member, also an elected member of the San Mateo County Democratic Central Committee, which voted overwhelmingly that we support an inspector general for the sheriff's office. And for those members of the community who feel that they are not able to go to the sheriff's office with knowing that they are going to be treated fairly. And it may not be true. We have a new sheriff in town, and he's wonderful. But many in our community are not feeling confident about that, regardless. And one question we need to ask ourselves is, if we had an inspector general, would we be owing $48 million? And maybe that's something for us to consider in the future, that we not have to have that kind of debt in the future because we have an inspector general that can do this work for us. Thank you very much.
And that concludes public comment.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to taking action to approve the consent, to set the agenda and to approve the consent agenda. Can I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Spear?
Aye.
Supervisor Mueller?
Yes.
Supervisor Gaucher?
Yes.
Supervisor Canepa is absent. President Corzo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And I realized that I think I only said to approve consent. So let's also, to be safe, let's take action to also set the agenda.
I accept that amendment.
Thank you. Second. Okay. Should we do another roll call, or is that fine?
I think maybe since we're into the process, why don't we go ahead and do another on a separate motion to set the agenda.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
And Supervisor Spear?
Aye.
Supervisor Mueller? Supervisor Gaucher?
Yes.
Supervisor Canepa is absent. And President Corzo?
Yes.
Motion passes to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. We will now move on to item 1, which is a resolution declaring the Board of Supervisors' intent to purchase the property described as 1065 East Hillsdale Boulevard in Foster City. And I will pass it over to County Executive Calgi to introduce this item.
Thank you, President Corzo and members of the board. It is my pleasure to introduce this item in regard to the purchase of 1065 Hillsdale. Let me start out with what this will not be before I get into what it will be. And I want to clearly say, like I said last night, we will not be building a warehouse at this site. It was never the intent of the county to build a warehouse at this site. I'm not sure how that rumor got started, but I saw next door that we were going to build like an Amazon-style warehouse. We never said that. At one point in time, we contemplated building another building that because there was approved plans to build another building on that site, and that would have been an auxiliary building that would have been complementary to the existing building and utilized for services to the community. But reflecting more upon the needs of the public and getting some feedback from the city, we revised those plans and believe that we can do everything within the confines. And that was something that we were contemplating, as a auxiliary building down the road. So I just want to be very clear of that. We will not be building a warehouse, and that was never the intent. So why are we here? Because HSA has a vision. The Human Services Agency has a vision of consolidating key programs into a client service center. Co-locating complementary programs within a single facility would improve customer service, increase operational efficiency, strengthen emergency preparedness, and provide a more seamless experience for San Mateo County residents seeking assistance. A centralized client service center would allow residents to access multiple services during a single visit, reducing transportation barriers, minimizing repeat appointments, and improving coordination among staff serving the same households. These are critical services that we provide to our residents across the county. And let's explore a little bit why we need to move from the location that we're at right now. We're currently in a building that really doesn't fit our needs. The rent has gone up 57% since 2024, which is outstanding to me. It's just unbelievable. There's a lack of transportation to the quarry site in San Carlos. There's certainly not enough parking, and the building's not configured in a way to really serve our clients in a meaningful way. It's in a warehouse. Why it's in a warehouse, I don't know. It could be in any building anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a warehouse, and certainly doesn't need to be in a warehouse. Over the last 3 years, we've looked at several properties, looking for a new home for VRS, Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Our current lease is up in April, so we are really up against it because we do need to move expeditiously in order to secure a property and then refine that property for our needs. The current building at 1065 is a very good buy for the county at $29 million. We'll be saving about $3.8 million a year in rental cost between quarry and harbor when we consolidate these uses at one location. And these are savings to all of our county residents. We're, as you know, looking to purchase buildings in order to get out of leases because we're saving money for county residents by doing this. Some of the potential things, and I mentioned this last night, there are potential things that could go in this site. We haven't done a detailed floor plan yet to determine what would all fit, but these are some of the things that we would like to potentially put in there. In the Client Services Center programs, the Public Assistance Eligibility Service, which really speaks to eligibility services that serve the primary entry point for individuals and families seeking public assistance. These services include CalFresh, Medi-Cal, CalWorks, General Assistance, Child Care, Cash Assistance Programs, and refugee and other public assistance programs. Currently, 3,665 individuals who reside in the city of Foster City use these services. And these are unduplicated. That represents about a tenth of the population of Foster City who's been going to the quarry site to receive these services. Overall, throughout the entire system, we serve about 140,000 people, and that would include 9 various sites around the county, all the call centers that we have up and running to assist people. We would expect about 150 customers a day to go to this site. Additionally, we look for employment services to be located here. Employment services assist individuals receiving public assistance and other job seekers. That site would consist of employment counseling, job readiness workshops, career assessments, resume development, interview preparation, education, vocational training referrals, employer partnerships and job placements, supportive services that remove barriers to employment, client training, and support programs. And this would be available to anyone who's seeking a job in the county. Additionally, a potential other use there would be veteran services. Veteran services is over on Quarry Road now, and those services assist veterans, active duty service members, and their families in obtaining federal, state, and local benefits, including veterans benefits counseling, disability compensation claims, pension assistance, health care enrollment, education benefits, housing and supportive services, survivor benefits, and appeal assistance. And it's very important. And I think that we have done a fantastic job of making sure that every veteran in this county gets every benefit that they're entitled to after serving their country. And we see about 265 veterans a month that we assist in getting those benefits. We also would contemplate putting emergency response, mass care, shelter services there. These are the people that do the planning for the Human Services Agency during emergencies by coordinating mass care and shelter operations in partnership with local jurisdictions, nonprofits, and the regional management employees. So the responsibilities there would include shelter operations, obviously not at that site, but setting shelters up around the county, feeding services throughout the county, distribution of emergency supplies, disaster assistance intake, family reunification, volunteer coordination, functional needs support, and disaster recovery. So creating a centralized client services center is an investment in both service delivery and community well-being. And this was aspirational. They were looking for a spot under one roof that can do all of this. And like I said, we've been looking for 3 years, and in this site, HSA has identified as ideal to deliver those services in a coordinated way that saves taxpayer dollars. And we did talk about the cost of $29 million. That is the value the property valued, I think, right now at $49 million. We're getting it at a substantial discount, which is good for the entire county because these are county dollars, taxpayer dollars that we use to purchase these properties, and that break even of the $3.8 million that we're saving by coordinating was about 7.8 years. So it would improve customer experience and certainly improve service coordination. We would have about 300 employees stationed at this site, helping our clients, and would occupy this site, not necessarily on the same day because of the way that they are deployed and work in that environment. This building hasn't been fully occupied since 2015, but in 2015, when it was fully occupied, you would have seen the same amount of trips. You would see approximately the same amount of employees, and I would imagine that there was customers coming and going there. So it's really no different to the environment itself or the traffic patterns that were working there. Our realtors that work in that area have told us that about a third of the office space in Foster City is currently vacant, over 600,000 square feet of vacant office space. I think that we heard yesterday in the council meeting about the economic vitality of the city and the necessity to do something to supplement the lack of occupancy in the office space. Well, these 300 employees would most likely be shopping locally. They'd be buying gas locally. They'd be going to Costco. They'd be going to lunch in that area and contributing to the economic vitality of Foster City and give them a boost. Our current hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30, and that is Monday through Friday. We're not open on weekends. I did mention to the Foster City Council last night that we'd be more than happy at no cost, maybe an indemnity clause, that to host the weekend fairs that they have there where they sell a variety of fruits and vegetables and other assorted goods. We'd be happy to continue that farmers market there on that site because I think they're in jeopardy of losing the site next door, which is the old Orchard Supply site. I did talk last night about the loss of property taxes of the city being about $125,000 on a $29 million sale. Whether we bought it or someone else, that would be the adjusted property tax. But as you can see here in this next slide, that, and maybe it doesn't show up so well, all up and down the peninsula in this county, we have services that cities absorb. It's that we're all in this together. We provide the services that are necessary for our residents to survive in this county. You can see that Foster City here is truly an island. There is no county services in that city. Almost every city up and down the peninsula, from San Mateo, Daly City, Redwood City, South San Francisco, San Bruno, Pacifica, Menlo Park, Foster City, Burlingame, San Carlos, East Palo Alto, Belmont, and even Half Moon Bay have services in them, with Foster City currently being the exception. And we do provide a lot of other services that we don't collect money for Foster City, and we continue, obviously, to provide those services. So let's talk about the possibilities of what would be on the floors, the various floors here. On the first floor, you can see that eligibility services would be down there, potentially a work center. And I think you've all been to our work center where we have about 35 employees on average per day. They do a variety of tasks. They're paid a minimum wage. We're evaluating them in the workplace on a daily basis. Some of them there are seniors seeking more employment to supplement their Social Security. Others are on disability, and we're evaluating them for the state to see if they're fit to go back to work. Others have had a gap in employment and are learning new skills or trying to at least fill their resume or earn some money. But the tasks are tasks that you could do in any office building. You could do it in a conference room. They sit at a table, give you some examples, and put boxes together. They might have 4,000 teacups that they put individually in a box and then ship out. There was a table, I was out there yesterday with 3 or 4 people sitting there wrapping plastic knives and forks for a organization and creating piles of them that we ship out to the organization. And there was another table of 4 people that were stapling forms together. That's the kind of work that we do in the work center. And certainly the client eligibility interviews would be on the first floor and act as the resource center potentially. And then a kitchen, which our award-winning catering service, Catering Connect, would operate out of. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that in the future, because I think that there is an opportunity there that we could partner with the city of Foster City and create something very meaningful for the residents there and also fulfill our mission. The second floor could potentially be the Employment and Veteran Services, and the third floor would be the eligibility services and fourth floor eligibility services, and both of those would also include call centers on those floors for people to call in. Let me go to this slide. So you can see this is a side view of the building, and if we did have a work center there, we would need a loading dock, and this is just a mock-up of what we believe the loading dock would look at. On the next slide there, you can see where I added to the right there a loading dock out of sight in the back of the building that we would be looking to add. And let me I'll show you the trucks. These are county-owned vehicles. This is the box truck that would come 2 to 3 times a day, depending on what we can store on site. It might be 1 time a day if we can store everything on site. But we own these trucks. They're county employees that drive these trucks. We could direct them simply to come off of 92, use Metro Center, make a right on Foster City Boulevard and pull into our lot, and then exit on Hillsdale down to Shell to keep a minimum traffic if traffic is an issue on Hillsdale. But I might add, I've lived in that city for 33 years now. I drive that road multiple times a day, and I see large-scale box trucks and 18-wheelers on Hillsdale Boulevard every single day. We heard some about transportation, and I think the beauty of this is that the lack of transportation we have at Quarry Road is really made up for here. There's a bus stop literally right in front of 1065 Hillsdale going westbound. The eastbound one is just down the block on the other side of the street. This is bus route 251 that Samtrans runs from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every hour on the hour. We've verified that through Samtrans. I've also been out there and seen the bus several times picking up passengers there. The nice thing is that there's also the Hillsdale Connector shuttle at right down the street at Shell Boulevard. This is a free shuttle from Caltrain to this location of Shell Boulevard, literally a 3 to 5 minute walk from this location. That operates twice an hour from 7 a.m. to 9:15 and 3 p.m. to 6:20. And the riders can get real-time information through text, indicating if it's going to be late or not. That'd be perfect for our employees who use Caltrain or our clients who use Caltrain. Additionally, there's 365 parking spaces, more than enough to fit our needs. And you can see the uniqueness of this property is that you've got these large PG&E power poles running through literally half the property that really restrict the use of that because of easements to really parking. And that's why this is such an ideal site for this type of an office building, because really that is the highest and best use of this. We heard some conversation last night. Could it be housing? We took a preliminary look at that because you know how we are into affordable housing and look for it everywhere. And it appears just on the kind of the back of the envelope analysis that it would be cost prohibitive, even if turning this this building into housing would be probably very, very, very costly and prohibitive. Building a downtown there to say it's the downtown center would be, you can't even use half the property, so that wouldn't be a viable use of the property either. Again, across the street are city services. This would be county services aligned in the Civic Center Plaza, which I think would work well. CEQA, we did hear some things about CEQA, and really the county's primary interest in acquiring and utilizing the existing office would not involve the change to the surrounding environment. We'd be keeping the environment the same. This is an office building that would continue to operate for all practical purposes as an office building, and we think that is a very good use of it for our purposes in this one-stop location. One of the things that I did mention earlier was there's this kitchen, and we heard a lot yesterday at the council meeting about a potential for a food hall or the needs there. And as you look at this next slide, you can see this area out front here was designated and approved for building. And we would love to work with the city on this. We think that this would be an ideal location for a production kitchen that we could use in the case of an emergency, a catastrophic earthquake where thousands of people needed to be fed. As you know, we've got one at the event center. We've got one at the county jail. We've got one at the Cow Palace. This could be a great supplement to that. And this is what the renderings look like from the city. These were the plans that were from the owner that I think would be a great amenity for the city to have something like this while we put people to work and use Catering Connect to run an operation there. Here's another view of it here. And these are just potentials, but if we went that route, we would literally sit down with the city, see what their interest is, and see how we could best meet that interest. In closing, let me just talk a little bit about the communications, because I've heard a lot about that we had the meeting last night and with the council and this meeting today. This meeting was put off from 3 weeks ago because we had to renotice this purchase. So certainly this has been an ongoing informational exchange, though it's certainly been iterative. But this goes back, and we notified the city, and we notified the city typically like we always do. We notify staff that we were looking at a property with the intent to purchase it, and what the use of that property is. That was back on the middle of March that we did this. Almost a third of a year ago, or actually over a third of a year ago, that we did this. 4 months ago, we told the city that we had an intent to purchase this. They've had 7 council meetings since then. without a request for us. The first request that came was for the one last night. We would have been happy to appear at any meeting, anytime, like we've done in every city where we've ever purchased anything. We've had community meetings in every city. We do take the lead from the city on that. We did have the mayor and vice mayor out to look at the facility because I hadn't heard anything, so I asked them to come out and take a look at Quarry Road to see the operation there so they could get a better understanding of the operation. The mayor and vice mayor did come out on May 20th. We didn't hear anything after that. We didn't hear about any community meetings. We didn't hear about a request for any information, though we did offer to give to have community meetings or give them additional information. And of course, 3 weeks ago, we were scheduled to come before the board, and we postponed that to give more time to the city to talk to the county and get their hands around it. So there has been certainly the opportunity, and I'll take responsibility if I could. I guess I certainly haven't mastered this yet with the cities as the best way to give them enough information so they can make informed decisions. Typically, it's through community meetings, council meetings, and we're always happy to do that. We're always happy to impart information on the city that is where we're purchasing, and we've always done that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, County Executive Kalgi. Any questions from my colleagues? No.
Mike, can you just,
Supervisor Gaucher.
as we talk to the public, I always want to be clear of the, when we're describing things, what is HSA?
Yeah, the Human Services Agency is our second largest agency in the county. And there's really four main areas of the Human Services Agency. Number one is public assistance that they're charged with, and they're a safety net organization. This is an organization for the people who are barely making it and sometimes falling through the cracks in this county. So the first part is public assistance. Another part is children and families, that they take care of the welfare of children and families. It might be through shelter that they provide for people that are unhoused right now. Certainly, employment services is a major part of what they do to get people back to work, and that's what the Employment Center is all about, really getting people back in the workforce so they can be self-sufficient. And then emergency support throughout the community is another big aspect. So when those floods hit, when we have an earthquake, when we have those natural disasters, they jump into action. They provide shelter and support. If we have a big fire in a county apartment complex or something, they will jump in and help the cities with that to shelter people and support people when they need help at their darkest hours. So they do a variety of things. When you think about family and kids, you think about adoptions and all the support that they give to them. And just a multitude of services that they provide all over the county.
Thank you. And for this project, will it require a transportation demand management process where we are managing the cars that are going in and out of the property? I don't know if this is under that as well.
No, it wouldn't require that, but I'm glad you brought that up because the parking is substantial, but a gentleman had talked about Ubers, and that is part of the state subsidy that we get as a county to get people to work. We try to help them get to work any way we can, whether it's bus vouchers or train vouchers, cab vouchers or Ubers, whatever it takes. We try to get them to work or try to get them to the location to give them the assistance necessary so they become self-sufficient. And that's what it's all about, is self-sufficiency.
Thank you. And what is the importance of September 30th? There's a date in some of our documentation September 30, 2026, that has to do with an inspection. Let me see, where did I? Are we responsible, or we have to respond to something by the September 30th?
I am not aware of that date.
It's under the real estate purchase and sales agreement and the escrow instructions.
Oh, that might be the closing date. I've got Caroline here. Is that's a closing date?
Okay.
Yeah.
So timing is important as well. And
So-
as I said the last time, the county's not here to cause any harm. We appreciate and we look forward to working with our communities. Oftentimes when the county, we're required to provide services to everyone within the community, but oftentimes we find that many of our communities, they want services, but not in their community. And I'm always looking for a way to not say just no, but how do we work together? How do we work together to provide the services that are so greatly needed at this time when the federal government is pushing back so much on all of our residents who are being impacted by services and need food on the table or assistance or health care? How do we work together to find a space to provide the services that are so greatly needed? So that was just the comment, and I will turn it over to my colleagues to see if there are any other questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Spear, do you have any questions?
I have a couple of questions and some comments. Thank you. First of all, I want to say to County Executive Callaghy that in many respects, this was done the appropriate way. 4 months ago, the county informed the city that we were going to engage in negotiations to buy this space. So I guess my question is, maybe we can't wait until the city invites us to come and speak before them. Maybe our role should be encouraging the city to hold a meeting earlier once we have initiated the letter of intent, so that there is ample time to discuss it and so that people are properly informed. I think it's very important to underscore this is not going to be a warehouse. It is going to be used as an office building, which it was used as from 2015. I think it's also important to underscore why it's important for us to get out of leased space. As the county executive said, I mean, we saw a 57% increase in 2 years at the quarry site. So it's important for us to get out of that lease, which ends in April, I believe. So we're saving the taxpayers of San Mateo County, that includes Foster City taxpayers, a substantial amount of money by getting out of a lease situation. So my question to the county executive, how much more lease space are we in that we're considering trying to get out of?
I think the big one is health on Alameda with about 150,000 square feet. We've been looking for a home for that for a while. I mean, it's not an urgent matter because we're in a lease, I think, until 2029 there, or maybe 2030. But that is the one missing piece that I've got Caroline looking for all the time to try to find that space that would accommodate all our health admin services, and we'll continue to look for that space.
Okay. I also want to underscore the fact that Foster City residents are already using the services that HSA will be providing through that Hillsdale site. There's, as the county executive said, 3,000 Medi-Cal recipients living in Foster City that may be coming to that site to access information or file for applications. There's 612 that are on food stamps and 388 that are in CalWorks. So I really believe this is going to be a win for both the county and the city, because you're going to have 300 employees now there that are going to be accessing Costco and local businesses, and more sales tax coming to the city as well. So as we contemplate future projects, I do think that engaging with the cities at the time of the letter of intent will make a huge difference so that there isn't misinformation that is being spewed out without the benefit of the truth being there.
No, that point's well
Thank you.
taken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do have one question and plenty of comments, but in terms of the question, can you please share what improvements or investments will be needed before the HSA, the current HSA site could transition into this building?
Yeah, I think that they're going to have to change the floor plans and do complete floor layouts. It is somewhat broken up right now in a way that probably wouldn't best serve our clients. So walls will have to come down. We will reconfigure desks and offices that in a way that makes sense for the operations of the organization, and that's going to take some extensive remodeling of the interior to do that.
Thank you. And so we don't have any plans to change the outside of the site. It would all be internal at this time.
That's right. Other than one of the things that we would like to do, if in fact the work center moves here, is put that loading dock to the rear.
Yes, in the back.
Yeah.
Where there already is a loading dock just across the fence from Orchard Supply, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you. With that, we can move on to comments from my colleagues. Would anyone like to start? I'm happy to go last. Okay, thank you, Supervisor Spear. Did you want to share some comments, or have you done that already?
I think I've done that already.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to name that this is a site that is in District 2, which is my district, our district. And so I want to share a little bit about my perspective regarding this process. And I'll start by saying that I do think there are improvements that we can make as a county, because this seems to be a point of tension that is being replicated not just in District 2, but across the county. And so for the sake of transparency, I think we could have a conversation about how we structure every single site acquisition that we explore, so that we can, it's unfortunate, but I have been noticing that first off, our process has been for our county executive to first inform a city manager, and then to inform council members. And then if there are requests for public meetings or a city council presentation, we honor those requests. I think because of what we're seeing, we are going to have to maybe create some formal process where we clearly document and notice. And it's unfortunate, but I think it's necessary for our sake, because what I have observed is that certain jurisdictions have been misinforming our shared residents about when they were informed, how they were informed, what insight they had into the process. And for the sake of giving accurate information to our residents, I think that is something that we should explore. So I'm going to talk about this site now from my perspective. And I want to start by saying I appreciate the engagement and questions regarding this purchase. I do think it's important to have discussion, to have questions. And I understand that many residents feel confused about this process, why it is different than what they would expect for other purchases. And, I'll share again that, nearly 10% of Foster City residents are HSA clients and receive services from HSA. And those current customers, I heard them called, leave Foster City to go to Belmont or to go to any of the other sites that HSA has across the county when they need to. Actually, a lot of the documentation required by HSA is now, totally doable via mail and email. Mail and online uploads. But for the employment center particularly, at the beginning of this year, as president of this board, we had 3 meetings for elected officials so we could update them about the requirements that HR1 is imposing on our residents to keep benefits. A lot of those are work requirements. A lot of those requirements are extremely difficult for residents to meet. And so I look at this as something that will help our residents in District 2 and throughout the county be able to better meet those requirements. As we shift to realizing some of the impacts of the loss of some VLF funding and the increased cost of providing services to our residents, we have to make financially prudent decisions. And some of that, and this is part of how we got to this decision. In terms of the county's process for purchasing property, I do want to say that while I understand that there's confusion about why there are intergovernmental, I don't want to say immunities, but kind of fast tracking, that is for a variety of reasons. It is state law that creates those conditions, and for good reason, because we could be in a position to not provide any services if there was bureaucracy basically slowing down how we could meet the urgent needs of our residents. And I do think that the county, I would strongly oppose the county being having to meet conditions that above a private business or a private entity, what they would have had to adhere to if they were purchasing this site. And as I said, local governments already face significant bureaucracy, and we had a site, 2-building site purchased in the city of San Mateo, pretty close to the border of Foster City, about 2 years ago at this point, and on Fashion Island, 1500 and 1510 Fashion Island. And we did not have this infighting, and it's unfortunate that is what's happening now, but I actually feel hopeful that this can be a win-win as well. And I have tried to have those conversations with several council members so that we can get there. And I'll reiterate that this item first came to the board in June. I had committed to the city manager and a few of the council members that I would pull the item to allow for more community engagement and discussion. And it's really disappointing to hear a council member come to this meeting and say, you're going to approve this item the day after when it is very clear that this date was already on the books. This was not a surprise. And like Mike Callaghy said, we would have been happy to go to the council sooner had there been a request for that. I also went to the site with council members Niederhofer and Jimenez the day before the item appeared on the June agenda. And I asked many questions about, what is it that could make this a win-win for Foster City? I committed to advocating for that. So what community benefits could there be? The farmers market being able to, still have a place for the community was something that I proposed. The restaurants, yeah, they're not really restaurants though, right? They're like,
it could be whatever.
Yeah, they're the food vending sites. That's what I wanted to say. The food vending sites was something that I saw on Facebook, and I said, we could still do this. Why couldn't we still do this? In terms of making it more of a downtown area, I proposed, could we do picnic tables and have like a part of the property still help bring that vision to life. And I was open to more ideas, but unfortunately it seemed like nothing short of the county completely backing out of this purchase was acceptable. And I'm not going to make guesses as to why. And I've heard the mention of housing, but we know that demolishing buildings is not cheap. Creating affordable housing is not cheap. It's not a quick process. It is very much needed. And if the city had taken the initiative to purchase this property, start that effort, I'm sure we would have been happy to collaborate, as we do with cities all across our county. And in terms of their concerns about traffic and countless large box trucks coming on to the property from East Hillsdale, actually, while we were at this site, a large box truck actually pulled into the site from East Hillsdale, and that is under the existing use. And, having been at the site, it's clear to me that there is the possibility to have, if there were trucks, to have them go through the back that is completely avoiding East Hillsdale and even potentially, I don't know what that box truck that pulled in was doing there, but they already are there essentially. So I do think that, the lack of, one of the issues that I have heard at many of the community engagements that I have with Foster City residents is our small businesses are not thriving here. They're not surviving. They try, they come, they open, they shut down. And part of that, it's, we see it in conversations all across the state, honestly. When office buildings sit empty, you lose clientele to restaurants for lunch, for dinner, for, just doing quick errands while, you're on a break from work. That is something that could be improved. You have to acknowledge that, if you don't want people coming into your city, your businesses are going to struggle because of that. They need customers. So I hear the concerns about traffic, but I also think that economic vitality is tied to people being present and being welcomed and feeling like services and restaurants are accessible to them. So I'll wrap up here. It is still possible to have a very community-driven process that shapes the vision for this site. I have committed to that. I am happy to host meetings in partnership with the council members to do just that. And there's clearly distrust, and I'm committed to rebuilding that trust, but it has to be with good intent from all parties involved. And I think this is the right decision for our county and for our county residents, for not just the 3,000 residents of Foster City that already receive HSA services, but for our seniors, for young people that are looking for jobs and struggling to find jobs after they come home from college. We would be closer to Gilead. There are opportunities to be that could be created and that could benefit our residents. And I think that is the kind of mindset that I would like to see from the Foster City Council, and that I'm very willing and open to having. And with that, I look forward to having more community engagements. We can schedule one as soon as the council would like, but I will be supporting this. And I welcome residents to continue to provide their feedback. So, is there a motion on this item?
I move approval of this item 1, the purchase of the property at 1065 Hillsdale Boulevard in Foster City.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Spear. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Spear?
Aye.
Supervisor Mueller?
Yes.
Supervisor Gaucher?
Yes.
Supervisor Canepa is absent. President Corzo?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. With that, we will be moving on to item
Just
number
to be clear, it's 4-0 with 1 absence.
Sorry.
Okay. We will now move on to item number 2 on the agenda, the appointment of Michelle Kuka as Director of Human Resources. And I'll pass it to County Executive Calagi.
One of the great pleasures I get is working with our incredible department heads in recruiting them and seeing them grow in the positions that they are and moving into that position. And I'm just so proud to recommend to you Michelle Kuka as the Director of the Human Services Department. I'm sorry, what did I say? Human Services, yeah. I've been talking, she probably could do. But yes, I've been talking a lot about human services lately. But the Human Resources Department, Michelle is well known to this board. She has done an incredible job. She's been with the county for 18 years now, where she promoted through the ranks, become the Deputy Director of Human Resources. She managed a diverse range of programs, including employee relations and labor relations and this board knows how difficult those can be sometimes, but she really handles it like a pro, and has really established herself in the area of policy development and classification and compensation. We did a nationwide search, and we really did go out and beat the bushes because we always want the very best for the county. And Michelle really distinguished herself through this process as a person that rose to the very top. And there was no question from the evaluators that she was the person for this job. I interviewed the top two candidates, and clearly, Michelle distinguished herself as the top candidate for this job. And given the ambitious agenda that I have for this job, she was actually willing to take it on with a smile on her face. So I am pleased to present Michelle Kuka to this board for ratification of her position as Director of Human Resources.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Supervisor Spear, is your hand up?
No, it's not.
Okay. I'll just briefly say, Michelle, you have helped this board navigate through some really difficult situations. As long as I've been here, I know you've been with the county for many, many years, and you are not just an asset to our county, but really a pillar that helps us navigate all kinds of storms and helps advocate for county staff, as well as, digging into the complexities of what management has to grapple with at times and helping to bridge those gaps. So I want to thank you on behalf of our board, and congratulations. Go ahead, Supervisor Gaucher.
Michelle, thank you so much for all that you do. From the time that I've been here, when I found out that you were doing 2 roles in this county, and not small roles, and handle it like a champ. And if you look at your team who's come to support you. That says a lot about your leadership. And I know that the person that I work with the most in HR is in the room, Chet, who is just a gem and a joy to work with. So that means that you are doing the right thing, because this customer service that we receive is just representative in the people that work with you and for you. So I was on the interview panel, and I know the people who came before us, and by far, you were the top candidate that came through, and I look forward to continue to work with you. Congratulations.
Okay, hearing no further comments. Did Michelle want to come up and speak, or? No pressure, you don't have to.
I just want to say thank you so much to the board members who have continued to support not only me, but the entire county. All of the difficult work that we're tasked with. Without your leadership, we wouldn't be able to accomplish everything that we do. So thank you for your continued support. I want to thank the county executive, who has always been an aspirational leader for all of us to follow. And I look forward to all of those initiatives. And to the entire executive team. I have had the pleasure of working with everybody for so many years, and I look forward to continuing to work with them. And finally, to the HR team, thank you so much to all of you for being here and for every day coming to work with a positive attitude, with a dedication to continue to support our county departments in doing the difficult work that they're here to do, to provide excellent customer service, and to really be looking for creative ways to solve very difficult problems. We couldn't do the work that the county does without this amazing team, and it is an honor to be able to serve them as their leader. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, is there a motion?
I move approval of the appointment of Michelle Kuka as Director of Human Resources.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Spear?
Enthusiastic aye.
Supervisor Mueller?
Yes.
Supervisor Gaucher?
Yes.
Supervisor Canepa is absent, and President Corzo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we are going to adjourn to closed session.
Yes, Madam President, I would note I don't believe we'll have anything to report out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are.
All right, the time is 10:28 a.m. and we're adjourning. Thank you.